having an online business for over a decade, I know how hard it is to start comparing yourself to guys that are bigger than you, who are leaner than you, who are better looking and have more followers and seem to be having a better lifestyle. Maybe they're moving faster down the path than you are. Maybe, heck, they started after you. And I know what that can start doing to you. You can start essentially running somebody else's race and you lose sight of what you're called to do. So this video, I hope, is super helpful. I want to give you 3 things, okay? And the very first thing is this. If you're gonna compare, you need clarity. And to have clarity, you need context. All right, what do you need? You need context. So you gotta understand what's really going on behind the scenes. If you're getting jealous of a guy who's bigger than you and leaner than you, and he's on steroids, well, do you want everything that comes along with that? Do you want the bills? Do you want the liver issues? Do you want the needles in your ass every week or a couple times a week? Do you want that secret lifestyle? Do you want to look at yourself in the mirror and have those feelings of shame and guilt that you're cheating and not being honest about? Like, that's what comes with what you're jealous of. So if you're going to compare, make sure you have the whole context. You're comparing yourself to somebody who's making more money than you. Well, do you know what his personal life is like? Do you want his marriage? Do you want his relationship that he has with his kids? Do you want everything else that's been sacrificed that may be something that's valuable to you that resulted in what he attained? So again, if you're gonna compare, you need the full picture. All right, you can't compare your behind the scenes with somebody else's highlight reel. Does that make sense? So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is self-awareness can increase discontentment. All right, this is huge. The reason that you're comparing yourself is because you're comparing yourself. If you lived on an island, there'd be no one to compare yourself to. But if you start following all these people that are further ahead than you, of course you're gonna get overwhelmed, right? So the simple solution is unsubscribe from 95% of the people you follow on Instagram. Like seriously, cut it down to, I don't know, people you actually follow, people that actually produce value in your life. If they're creating stress and anxiety in your life, they're not valuable. So stop following them. Unsubscribe from certain newsletters. Stop watching certain movies. Just do a detox from things that are causing you to simply increase anxiety. When you have awareness of everything going on around you, of course you're gonna get stressed out. Of course you're gonna have a hard time. So a lot of this comparison comes because of our own doing, and that's good news because you can undo it as well. So I think one thing with us all being on Instagram every day, heck, imagine if you just deleted Instagram today. Imagine you just deleted Facebook today. Would a little bit of your stress go down? Maybe a fraction? So maybe you limit the amount of time you go on these apps. What do you think about that? All right, comment below if you're willing to reduce the time you spend on these apps that are creating the stress in the first place. All right, the third tip here. This one is really, really important, and it's how you find your identity. You find your identity in your metrics, all right? Or do you find your identity in your mission and in your message and what you've been called to do, all right? If you find your identity in your metrics, you know, your number of followers, the amount of money you make, how much favor you get from the world, how much status you have, your possessions, well, guess what? Those things will never be enough because there's always going to be somebody with something with more of all of those, right? So you've got to decide, what am I going to find my identity in? All right, and if it's in metrics, then you're never going to be fulfilled. But if it's in your mission and your message, something you've been called to share because of gifts you've been giving, opportunities you've been handed, doors that have been opened specifically for your life, then you can say, okay, this is my race to run. I don't need to worry about these other runners. They're in their own lanes, all right? And I'm gonna stay in my lane and I'm gonna move all the way around the track to the finish line, and I'm not gonna get DQ'd because I go in somebody else's lane. I'm gonna commit my life to becoming the first best version of myself and not the second best version of somebody else. Does this make sense? Was this helpful? Hey guys, I totally get it. You know, I always like to inject myself into these stories, but you know, as I built my online fitness business, there were guys that started after me and you know, I get over 7 figures, and then all of a sudden a buddy of mine who I coach, who I helped, all of a sudden I find out he's doing $500,000 a month and $1 million a month. I'm like, oh my God, I helped this guy, and I'm comparing myself to him now. And the problem is I start finding my self-worth and my net worth. But my net worth is not who I am, but that's something that is defining who he is. All right, so what happens is you start to get insecure. All right, and this comes down to knowing your values, right? And you've got to really get clear on what is valuable to you, and this kind of ties everything together. And if you don't know what you stand for, then you'll start getting pulled in different directions, and what other people have insecurities about, which gives them an identity, will become something that you start pivoting your whole life around, and all of a sudden you don't even remember why you're doing something in the first place. Hey guys, I hope this video was valuable for you. I see so many guys not achieve their goals because they implode and they get caught up in what other people are doing and where they feel like they should be. And one of the things that I've learned is that you must have a sense of peace, that you belong exactly where you are right now. Wherever you are right now on this race of life, around this track, whether you're at the 100-meter mark, 200-meter mark, you're coming down the home stretch, you are exactly where you're supposed to be, all right? And continue to manage what you've been given well, or else you're not gonna be given anything else, all right? I hope this video was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments below, what was your biggest insight? What was your #1 takeaway? Comment below, and check out the other videos right after this one, and we'll see you soon.